Hello, welcome to Surviving Bad. I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and together we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Today, our guest, Mike, is a former state trooper that had a tragic fall from grace when through medically prescribed opioids, he became an addict. His career, well, it crashed. His health, it crashed. And by the grace of God, somehow his family survived, and together, they have fought back against opioid addiction. He is here today to share his story. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You know, when I met you, the resolve you had to beat this and the price you paid to fight it. Let's roll back to what life was like before the opioids and before the addiction, so people sort of get a sense for how just all American and normal things were.
Yeah, I got into law enforcement in high school. Did a job shadowing through the high school with the local police department. Got involved with the reserves there during college. And then I had an opportunity to apply for the state as a trooper. And that was in 2006, I believe. I got accepted to that. That was kind of my dream job for law enforcement. I mean, you got the biggest area to patrol. You have encounters with tons and tons of people. Got different events you go to. So spring of 2006, I went to the academy. And that was not fun, but got through it. I mean, just very physically demanding, mentally draining. And I, October 20th, I believe I graduated from that and got posted up in my home area, which is kind of unheard of. I was living life, loving it. Just the thrill, the excitement, camaraderie. Of course, you had your tragedies, of course. But, yeah, I was loving life.
And you were married at the time?
I got married, 2 years after I got on the patrol.
Okay.
About to the day, actually.
Because, I mean, it's basically just a picture book story.
Yeah.
Everything went right. You got the dream job, the family's being built. And then you had a health issue.
I did. It was, I believe it was 2008. I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which was an intestinal disease where it becomes inflamed. Your bowel movements are rapid. You eat something, 15, 20 minutes later, you're getting rid of it, I guess you can say.
So you really can't avoid treatment. You got to do something.
Right, yeah. And they prescribed me on some immunosuppressants, which aren't good for you. Prednisone, and I think Imuran was the other one that finally got it under control. So I'm like, I'm done with this. I don't want to take medicine. I was doing great for, I think it was about 4 years. And then it came back. I thought it came back. So the doctors started giving me more prednisone because they thought it was just a flare. Well, that went on for, 6 to 8 months. Prednisone, okay, we're going to raise your dosage, lower it, taper it, see if it gets better. Never got better. Well, told my local doctor about that, and they put me on hydrocodone. And then I got sent to, can't think, it was down in Des Moines or Clive area, a GI specialist down there, someone they recommended. Found out I was fighting C. diff, which is an infection, infection of your large intestine. So all the immunosuppressants I was taking was adding fuel to the fire.
So relatively, you're suffering from a medical challenge. At the same time, you've got a career, family, and everything's going on one track. You got this medical track sort of like in its own place going on.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, it's just a bad way around it. There's nothing good from ulcerative colitis or C. diff. And when I'd treat the C. diff, I'd get a flare for ulcerative colitis. When I get that under control, I'd go back to C. diff. I think, in 1 year I had C. diff 8 or 9 times with 2 fecal transplants.
And you were getting opioids this whole time?
Yes, that started, I believe it was December-ish, 2013.
Now, from the time you got opioids first prescribed and the time it first became an issue, let's say on the job, about how long was that?
I really can't remember at this time.
Okay. It could have been a year, 2 years?
I'd say probably a year-ish.
Because I had heard estimates that the under prescribed dosages, you took something like over 7,000 opioid pain medications over 2 years?
Yeah, I believe it was 27 months. It was just over 7,000 prescribed opiates, whether it be hydrocodone, oxycodone, tramadol.
And in fact, you found out later they really didn't do anything to help you with your disease.
No, they masked the issues, but no, they did a lot more harm than good.
Is it easy to sort of feel how you became an addict throughout this process?
Yeah, I was looking for something to help me. I mean, colitis and C. diff, they're not comfortable. I don't know how many ER trips I went on just because I was getting dehydrated. I just couldn't get it under control.
And did you feel like you had the opioids were something that you always reached for when things got bad?
Yeah, simple as that.
Looking back, could that simply be how the addiction started?
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. We come back, let's talk about how the addiction began to unravel the life of a state trooper. When we return, we'll ask Mike to talk about the breakdown in his job and the pressures that he and his wife faced during the crisis. You don't want to miss this. See you after the break.
Many teenagers don't understand the dangers and effects of marijuana use. Now it's time for Just the Facts, ma'am. An IQ is a score determined from standardized tests to determine intelligence. An IQ of 100 puts the average person in the 50th percentile of intelligence. Regular marijuana use during teenage years can cause a long-term 8-point drop in IQ. A loss of 8 IQ points drops them to the 29th percentile. For more information, go to drugfreeiowa.org.
My dad thinks he can fix anything, but at least once a day, we catch him doing that with our modem. Like things would magically be faster if he could just get it high enough. He doesn't get that it's our phony internet. Looks like I'm gonna have to fix this one. Siri, get me faster internet.
Okay, calling Mediacom now.
Drop the phony internet and get a real deal. Add Mediacom Internet 60 for just $14.99 a month for a year. Call today.
Watching your sister go through withdrawal is the last thing you expect to do. You hope she gets past it, but worry she'll relapse. The story of addiction is all too familiar, but you can change it.
That's 2 out of 3.
If you or someone you know is in recovery from addiction, share your story with the partnership at drugfree.org, because your story can change someone else's.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're talking with Mike, a former Iowa State trooper who had a problem with opioid addiction, but through the grace of a great family and a wife, he's been able to tackle that problem. His addiction started with a prescription for a terribly painful intestinal disorder, and the rest, well, as they say, is sort of history. Mike, trying to do the right things, at some point, the addiction reared its ugly head and butted heads with your job. How did that happen? Because for a lot of people, it's a mystery. It's hard to remember. It gets foggy.
It is, but it's there. I'd say that with anything, you kind of develop a tolerance, whether it's coffee, tobacco, alcohol, you build a tolerance. And with opiates, you do the same thing. So as time went on, I was building a tolerance. I had to take more to get, the same relief, I'll say. And then I'd noticed that my prescriptions come due, but I'm barely getting there. And, in the end, by math, I was taking 8 or 9 pills a day, which is far above and exceeding the recommendation.
And you weren't looking for a high.
No.
You didn't say, oh, this is a good feeling, I want more of this. You needed this to help you.
Right. Sitting in a patrol car, you got a belt, your Batman belt, your vest on, you got pressure on your gut, plus the pressure inside trying to get relief. It sucked, plain and simple.
Listening to an interview with you and your wife, she had said that a very dramatic shift in this whole process for her was changing that perception that a drug addict is, a bottom dweller, in some way a person that is less than capable. And it really shocked her to see that somebody who she had so much pride in, who did so well on the job, admittedly, suffer from this. It was a huge transition, and I think we see a lot of people in this world feeling the same way, that somehow there's a choice for the addict. How do you grapple with that now that you're through this problem?
Opiates, they don't discriminate against any. You got all these NFL players, basketball players, celebrities. Just type it in the Google search. You'll see, it's everywhere. It will take anybody at any time. It's just a matter of days, and you can be dependent and become addicted. It's horrible.
When was the first time your wife said something to you about it? Was there ever an interaction there?
There was, and at that point I was kind of just defending myself. You know, I was scared of, you know, okay, I'm a state trooper. I can't ask for help. You know, as they said in the academy, on a high-risk call, you will survive. Well, this is my high-risk call. I have to figure out how to survive. I'm going to beat up myself. Well, I pushed her away and said, absolutely not. I'm a trooper. I can't do that. But anybody can. It can happen to anybody.
When did it start to really fall apart?
I guess I don't remember the time frame, but like I said, when the dependency or the tolerance became so great, and it just, with opiates, your midbrain takes over your frontal lobe, which your frontal lobe's your morals, your beliefs, right and wrong, midbrain survival. Well, the survival had completely taken over my morals and beliefs, so I'd run out, find an excuse, ask a friend, hey, you got any of this? Can't get to the doctor. And I heard a lot of people that way. I shouldn't say a lot, a few people that way, but that's where I'd get it, and then it turned into the evidence room and just the downfall.
But for a long time, you were able to hide this from your coworkers and your wife.
Yeah.
So things went bad. Essentially, when everything came out in the open, your job was no longer there. Your wife, thankfully, was. What options did you face? What were you looking at as choices at the time?
Got to be real honest. Excuse me. At that time, I didn't know. I mean, when I was put on administrative leave, I had 2 more surgeries because I had the total colectomy in there in December of 2015. I was released or put on administrative leave, I believe it was March 25th of 2016. I might have the years off, but I had 2 more surgeries I had to get through for the completion of the total colectomy. And losing that job put all my insurance in jeopardy. I didn't have many choices.
Did doctors at all bring up anything about the opioid use or?
No.
Nothing?
I'd call in, hey, this isn't working. Can we try this? This isn't working. Can I try that? I mean, I'd go in occasionally for appointments, but
you were able to get whatever opioids you wanted.
Yeah.
And that's not too long ago.
No.
So even with the climate changing today, as long as there was an illness behind what you were using, you felt doctors were pretty comfortable giving you more and stronger dosages.
Yeah. Yeah, the dosages went up. I can't remember how they, like to 5 to 7.5 to 10. I mean, everything was shifting upward, and the amount of being prescribed was going up too.
Well, at this point you hit bottom, and I want to stop here. And when we come back, let's chat about the way up and how the process of recovery began.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll come back from the break and take a closer look at the recovery and rebuilding that is Mike's way of life today. See you after the break.
Many teenagers don't understand the dangers and effects of marijuana use. Now it's time for Just the Facts, ma'am. An IQ is a score determined from standardized tests to determine intelligence. An IQ of 100 puts the average person in the 50th percentile of intelligence. Regular marijuana use during teenage years can cause a long-term 8-point drop in IQ. A loss of 8 IQ points drops them to the 29th percentile. For more information, go to drugfreeiowa.org.
My dad thinks he can fix anything. But at least once a day, we catch him doing that with our modem. Like things would magically be faster if he could just get it high enough. He doesn't get that it's our phony internet. Looks like I'm gonna have to fix this one. Siri, get me faster internet.
Okay, calling Mediacom now.
Drop the phony internet and get a real deal. Add Mediacom Internet 60 for just $14.99 a month for a year. Call today.
Watching your sister go through withdrawal is the last thing you expect to do. You hope she gets past it, but worry she'll relapse. The story of addiction is all too familiar, but you can change it.
That's 2 out of 3.
If you or someone you know is in recovery from addiction, share your story with the partnership at drugfree.org, because your story can change someone else's.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're with Mike talking about his fight with opioid addiction and the almost tragic consequences he faced. Consequences that thousands of Iowans and millions of Americans face every day. In the hope that others can be spared the fate that Mike suffered from, he's here to share his story. And remember, today they estimate over 10 million addicts in America to opioid pain medications that started the addiction not unlike the way Mike did. Mike, how does it feel to be part of a group of almost 10 million Americans, innocent addicts that just walked into a buzzsaw?
Not good. I mean, you lose a lot. You have to rebuild it all, and halfway through your career, starting over is pretty hard.
What was the first step in the recovery process for you?
Well, I was pretty fortunate. It was a day after I got put on administrative leave that I got in. I think my sister-in-law, who's a doctor in psychology a little bit, she got a hold of a place called Hazelden up in Center City, Minnesota. So less than 24 hours after administrative leave, I was up there and admitted for about 5 weeks.
What was it like during that 5 weeks there?
I gotta say, the first couple days were pretty scary. I mean, not knowing what to expect, but this is a nice place. It's very well respected. But then you see, again, like I said earlier, this doesn't discriminate. I mean, there was professionals there. There was lawyers, other officers, doctors. From top to bottom, they were there.
What pushed the button? I mean, there had to be it couldn't have been an easy process to go to Hazelden. Somebody had to do something that gets you to make that move.
Well, I don't know, family,
Okay.
you know, they were behind me. I mean, it was, I can only imagine what they were thinking, but they helped me. I mean, I really wanted to get help, but going back to being a state trooper, I can't ask for help. No, high risk call, I'm going to survive. I went on my own. But in the end, yeah, it was a joint effort, and glad they took me.
Now we know your passion for the state troopers and everything else, so I don't want to really, I'm not looking at them as any kind of a scapegoat, but do you think that in a lot of cases, if people were able to say something, that the places they work, like as a state trooper, would be able to help with intervention and getting treatment?
I believe that, yeah, 100%. I believe it was not too long ago, month, maybe 2. There was another officer in Iowa, similar case. I guess I don't know the background of that case because I really don't read the news that often. I just saw that. But yeah, you just need to open up. This is everywhere in America. It's not going away until, you know, companies, businesses start putting a foot forward and say, we can help you. And don't just, you know, say it behind a closed door, but be open about it.
Now, Hazelden got you through a program.
Yeah.
And you came out clean.
Yes.
I'm guessing you've stayed clean ever since?
Yes.
I'm guessing it's probably not too easy?
At the beginning, it was tough. Yeah. But, you know, like they say, take a day at a time. Further along you get, the better it gets. I mean, I'm happy. I'm healthy. Haven't had to go to a doctor. Don't want to go to a doctor for, you know, quite a while. Life's been good.
So you weren't looking for addiction. You weren't looking for thrills. You weren't looking for a high. And with the right help, you were able to turn the corner.
Right. Yeah. When I was on the patrol, I was very large in drug interdiction. Then, like a year later, 2 years later, downfall.
How about the family and rebuilding with your wife now? You've got a new job.
Yep.
You're a volunteer firefighter too now.
I am with the city of Forest City.
And so, how is the rebuilding going with the city and the people around you that have sort of been partners in this happening to you?
I've been pretty fortunate. You know, I've lost some friends, people I used to talk to on a regular basis. But I think as, you know, time goes on and you show to people that, yeah, the old Mike is back, I mean, I'm rebuilding everything, and the wife's been solid. Watching the kids grow up, it's kind of beneficial because as a trooper, you work days, you work nights, you work holidays, weekends. Well, now I get to see my kids every night, put them to bed. It's great.
Now, I know one of the reasons that I was excited about having you here is you don't know how yet, but you're searching for a way to share this message with people.
I am. I want to give hope. I hope, and I don't know, I guess I can't give medical advice, but I've been through enough to give hope and promise to others who are fighting this issue.
Well, after the break, would you come back and maybe share some insights and just pure advice with people from what you've been through? Maybe we can, leave on a note of hope and high expectations for people that may be facing this problem.
Absolutely.
After a short break, we'll invite Mike to share his comments and advice, something that may help you save a life of someone you love. You don't want to miss this. Right through there.
You have to help her! Help her!
Hey, Sam, can you hear me? Looks like an overdose. Do you know what she was taking?
She doesn't do drugs. Her friends don't do drugs.
No, listen, we're just trying to save your daughter's life. Any idea?
Go to the movies, hon. See you later.
Bye, Sam. Sam, wake up!
Sharing. I don't mind it when there's enough to go around. Toys with Charlie? Okay. My mint ice cream? Fine. Our slow internet with my whole family at the same time? That's pushing a man too far.
Get unlinked and get a real deal. Add Mediacom Internet 60 for just $14.99 a month for a year. Call today.
I thought texting friends on her cell phone was harmless.
But there she is, our daughter, topless for everyone to see.
I'm so embarrassed for her. I can't even imagine what she must be feeling. How did this happen?
What was she thinking?
Someone sent our teenage son a photo of a naked classmate. If he forwards it, it's a crime.
Our son committing a crime? I had no idea.
And he could be labeled a sex offender.
Tell your teen, sexting is a crime.
My dad thinks he can fix anything. But at least once a day, we catch him doing that with our modem. Like things would magically be faster if he could just get it high enough. He doesn't get that it's our phony internet. Looks like I'm gonna have to fix this one. Siri, get me faster internet.
Okay, calling Mediacom now.
Drop the phony internet and get a real deal. Add Mediacom Internet 60 for just $14.99 a month for a year. Call today.
Thank you for joining us today on Surviving Bad. In these few moments we have left, we're asking Mike, our guest, to share some ideas and advice that may help you or someone you love face the challenge of addiction. Mike, you're everything. Former state trooper, you're a volunteer firefighter, you're a dad, you're a husband, you're a community member. Talk about some of the things you want to share with people that may make a difference if they see someone struggling with some of these problems.
Yeah. Put aside the stereotype of what you think of. Somebody laying next to a gutter, in a curb, on a park bench, with a cardboard box around them. Put that aside. This disease is not going anywhere until people take action, acknowledge it, that it's a public problem and can go anywhere. Be open-minded, don't discriminate, don't talk behind their back and let them hear it later that somebody they thought trusted was talking behind their back. Just embrace them, help them, and reassure them that they're going to make it.
Knowing what you know, do people come to you in your community feeling like they have someone to talk to?
I've had that on a few occasions, yeah. People corner me in a gas station or, hey, can I talk to you in just a different room? Some have said, I need help. Hey, my son or daughter needs help. And I've helped them or attempted to.
Well, that's sort of what the nature of this problem is, very private and hidden in the shadows and behind closed doors.
Right.
What do you think can be done to get this more out in the open?
Keep talking about it. I mean, it's obviously a problem with, 10 million people, you said? And it's a disease. It's, and organs being affected by something. and it's like alcoholism, or you're addicted to pop, chew, cigarettes. It's all addiction. This is a very serious one that, affects your brain a lot more seriously than some others.
Now, there's no doubt that every family does what they think is best at the time. Does your wife ever talk to you about what she might have done differently had she known more about the scope of the problem?
I guess not really. I mean, she's there supportive and loving, but I guess we really don't look back. We're trying to go forward.
How do you envision years from now counseling your children about things like substance abuse and drugs?
I'm gonna be open. You got to tell them the truth, what happens. And I've done another interview where, later in life when they're old enough to understand what's going on, whether it's just them, their friends, their parents, their friends' parents, just be open, be honest, and hopefully we don't have that problem. But
if we look at the people we know and the people you know, do you think there's more they could do to be more open and get more of the word out so they can be maybe more resilient and able to help people when they're in trouble?
I think so. You just, like I said, you got to open your mind and just listen. It's not a fun disease. I don't know of any addict that actually went out and saw it, hey, I'm going to be an addict for my career, and then let it control your life for 1, 2, 10, 15 years, and then you finally get help. And then you lost all that time to seeking to survive because you feel like you're going to die because you don't have your drug.
If there's one feeling that you would share with someone to look at as a warning sign if they're a user of any of these drugs, what would you say that would be?
Like one feeling if they're...
Yeah, as a person, if you like look in the mirror and say, this is happening, you need help.
Seek help. Don't be ashamed of it, because the numbers you gave, they don't lie. You're not alone. Everybody has their battles. This one's fighting you. You just need to win, be open, be honest, and step back before it takes you.
Mike, thank you for joining us today and sharing your story. And thank you for joining us today on Surviving Bad, and keep your eye on Mediacom MC22 for our next episode, where we explore Iowa stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Only on Surviving Bad on Mediacom MC22, your local programming leader.